Imagine a dedicated nurse who finds satisfaction in the simple act of caring for others. This nurse is Armando. He works in a small community hospital in a poor neighborhood where life stories are intertwined in a web of difficulties and overcoming. One day, while on duty, Armando found himself faced with a situation that would change his life forever. A frail and poorly dressed elderly woman was brought in by ambulance, her face marked by time and the bitterness of life. Her name was Dona Rosa, a lady with a shy smile and tired eyes, who seemed to carry the weight of the world on her hunched shoulders. Her face was contorted with pain, and her eyes pleaded for relief. Without hesitation, Armando rushed to help her, his skilled hands working deftly as he tried to stabilize her condition. While caring for the patient, Armando noticed something familiar about her wrinkled face. It was as if that woman's eyes held secrets that he knew well, as if her wrinkles told stories that echoed in his own soul. And then, like a flash of memory, he remembered. The woman, whose name was Dona Rosa, was a childhood friend of her mother. She had met him when he was still a mischievous boy, running around the dusty streets of Guadalajara. He remembered the sunny afternoons spent in their little courtyard, the laughter that echoed beneath the shady trees. While caring for Dona Rosa, Armando saw in her eyes the same courage and determination that he knew in his own mother, a strength that resisted time and adversity. Armando couldn't help but notice the loneliness in that elderly woman's eyes. While examining her, he heard her story. Dona Rosa lived alone in a small house, struggling to survive on a meager pension that barely covered her basic needs. She had no family nearby and only had occasional help from kind neighbors. With his heart touched by Dona Rosa's sadness and determination, Armando could not sit idly by. He decided to not only treat her physical symptoms, but also offer her some comfort and emotional support. He spent extra time by her side, listening to her stories, bringing her words of encouragement and comfort. At the end of the shift, Armando said goodbye to Dona Rosa with a warm handshake and a comforting smile. In the days that followed, Armando continued his tireless fight for Victoria's well-being. He looked for solutions where others saw only obstacles, seeking comfort in Dona Rosa's words of encouragement and in the hope that blossomed in her heart. As time passed, the relationship between Armando and Dona Rosa blossomed. She found in Armando not just a nurse, but a friend, a confidant, someone to trust. And Armando, in turn, discovered a new dimension in his work, the ability to make a difference in people's lives beyond conventional medical care. Armando worked hard at the San Angel Hospital, a place where the corridors echoed with the sighs of hope and despair of those searching for a cure. Armando was a nurse, but more than that, he was a guardian of lives, a defender of the human fragility that unfolded in each hospital bed. He faced financial difficulties that threatened not only his stability, but also the health of his daughter, Victoria, a sick and very fragile child. Victoria suffered from a rare disease, a condition that required expensive and constant treatments, as well as special care that was beyond Armando's financial means. The nights became long and exhausting for the nurse. While his co-workers rested, he spent hours on end researching new treatments, consulting specialists, and trying to find a way to give Victoria a chance at a normal life. But each appointment, each exam, each medication represented an even greater financial burden, a shadow that hung over his family's happiness. However, Armando refused to give in to despair. He found strength in Victoria's innocent laughs, in the determination of his wife, Maria, and in the faith he kept in his heart. Together, they formed an unbreakable bond, a fortress of love that withstood the cruelest adversities. "Maria, I'm worried about Victoria's medical expenses. Treatments are getting more and more expensive, and our savings are running out quickly." "I know, Armando. But we can't lose hope. We're doing everything we can to help her." "I know, dear. But sometimes I feel helpless in the face of all this. I don't want the lack of resources to stop our daughter from having a dignified life." "We will find a solution, Armando. We are a team, remember? We face many difficulties together and we always find a way to overcome them." "You're right, Maria. We need to stick together and keep fighting. Victoria deserves the best we can offer." Already at work, a colleague notices how exhausted Armando seems lately and asks, "Is everything okay?" It's just that things have been difficult at home. My daughter Victoria needs expensive treatments and we're struggling to keep up with medical expenses." I'm sorry to hear that, Armando. It must be incredibly stressful for you and your family. Yes, it's a constant challenge. But I can't give up. Victory is my reason to keep fighting, no matter how difficult it is. You are truly admirable, Armando. While many of us complain about our own problems, you are handling such an intense situation with such courage and determination. If you need anything, don't hesitate to call me. We are all here to support you. Armando. You are not alone in this fight. We are all rooting for the well-being of Vittoria and your family, Armando. Don't forget that. I really appreciate your solidarity, my friend. Knowing that I have the support of my coworkers makes all the difference to me. At San Angel Hospital, Armando was known not only for his skill as a nurse, but also for his generosity and compassion. He treats each patient as if they were a member of his own family, offering comfort and support in their darkest moments. Not everyone shared Armando's empathy and compassion. The hospital director, a man more concerned with numbers than with people, was displeased with the special attention that Armando paid to Donna Rosa. He pushed employees to be more efficient, to reduce the time spent with each patient and to focus solely on the clinical aspect of care. Armando's generous actions did not go unnoticed by the watchful eyes of the hospital administration. They saw his behavior as a distraction, a violation of the rules governing efficiency and protocol. For them, time spent with a single patient was wasted time that could be spent treating several others. Armando knew the risks of defying the hospital's rules, but his conscience impelled him to act in accordance with his own principles. He couldn't ignore the humanity that stood before him, couldn't simply turn his back on a soul in need. And then came the day when the consequences of his generosity became apparent. The hospital director called Armando to a meeting. His deep voice echoed in the small office where the dismissal sentence was handed down. Armando knew this was his punishment for his inappropriate behavior. He accepted it with dignity, but his heart ached at the injustice of the situation. He had no regrets for his actions, but the weight of uncertainty about his future hung over him like a dark cloud. Unconcerned with the hospital's administrative policies, Armando continued to offer his unconditional support to Donna Rosa. He helped her understand her medical prescriptions, navigate the mazes of the healthcare system, and even take care of the small household chores that piled up in her modest abode. Time passed, and Donna Rosa's health seemed to improve not only because of the medications, but also because of Armando's constant presence in her life. Her smile became more frequent, her eyes sparkled with new hope, and her voice took on a stronger, more confident tone. However, the shadow of dismissal hung over Armando. The hospital director, angered by what he saw as a violation of the rules and an unnecessary distraction, decided to take drastic action. On a somber afternoon, Armando was summoned to the director's office, where he was informed that his conduct was in violation of hospital policies and that he would be fired with immediate effect. Armando, I need to talk to you about Donna Rosa's situation. I have received information that you have been spending an inordinate amount of time with her. Sir. Mario, I understand her concerns, but Donna Rosa needs more than just medical care. She needs emotional support and compassion. I understand, Armando, but you need to understand that we have protocols to follow. We cannot give preferential treatment to one patient over others. But, Mr. Mario, it's not just about preference. It's about humanity. We cannot ignore people's suffering just because it doesn't fit into our procedures. I understand your position, Armando, but the hospital policy is clear. If you cannot adjust to it, we will have to take more severe measures. Armando, with all due respect, but firmly said, Director, I will not compromise my principles. If that means facing consequences, then so be it. But I will not abandon those who need me. The news fell like a bomb on Armando. He felt betrayed, wronged, as if all his work and dedication had been in vain. As he said goodbye to his colleagues, Armando couldn't help but wonder if he had done the right thing. He found himself at a crossroads, where the line between what was morally correct and what was socially acceptable was becoming increasingly blurred. Meanwhile, behind the scenes of the hospital, a figure watched silently. Donna Luz Hernandez, the hospital's founder, a woman whose own journey was intertwined with life's ups and downs, had witnessed Armando's dismissal. Dona Luz was not just a leader, but a visionary. She saw beyond rules and regulations, beyond formalities and hierarchies. She understood the true value of compassion and selfless service. And what she saw in Armando touched her soul in a deep and personal way. Outrage quickly turned to determination. He could not allow greed and callousness to triumph over care and compassion. Determined to fight for justice, Armando sought support from his co-workers, the patients he had helped, and even the local community. Together, they organized peaceful protests in front of the hospital, raised posters and sang songs of solidarity in defense of Armando and all those who believed in a more humane and compassionate healthcare system. The repercussion of Armando's case quickly went beyond the limits of the neighborhood and caught the attention of the local media. Journalists eager for a good story about the fight against injustice interviewed Armando, Dona Rosa and others involved, further expanding the reach of their cause. Meanwhile, in the hospital corridors, the director found himself increasingly isolated and pressured. The outpouring of solidarity in favor of Armando threatened to undermine his authority and expose his questionable practices. He realized he could no longer ignore the community's growing outrage and that it was time to reconsider his actions. Determined to bring justice where injustice prevailed, Dona Luz, founder of the hospital, summoned Armando to a private meeting. Her warm smile and compassionate gaze calmed Armando's nerves as he walked into his office, prepared to face whatever came next. Sitting around a polished wooden table, Dona Luz looked into Armando's eyes with an intensity that reflected her own determination. She spoke in a soft but firm voice, filled with authority and compassion. "Armando, what you did in our hospital did not go unnoticed by me," Dona Luz began, her voice echoing in the quiet space of the office. "Their actions demonstrated a compassion and commitment to our patients that goes beyond expectations." Armando listened intently, his heart beating with a mixture of hope and apprehension. He didn't know what to expect from this meeting, but he was determined to face whatever came. "That being said, I cannot ignore the rules that govern our hospital," Dona Luz continued, her penetrating gaze revealing the seriousness of her position. "However, I also recognize that sometimes rules must be defied in the name of humanity." Armando swallowed hard, feeling the weight of Dona Luz's words settling over him. He expected the worst, but something inside him also stirred with a spark of hope. It was then that Dona Luz proposed a solution that left Armando astonished. She offered him the opportunity to return to the hospital not as a simple nurse, but as a leader, in charge of a new volunteer program designed to strengthen bonds between medical staff and patients. Armando felt a lump in his throat when Dona Luz extended the job offer. It was as if an entire chapter of his life was about to turn the page, making room for something new and exciting. He looked around the room, the warm faces of his future co-workers smiling at him, and felt a rush of gratitude that almost took his breath away. Armando could hardly believe what he was hearing. He had been fired for acting on his principles, and now he was being offered a chance at redemption, a chance to turn his adversity into a force for good. With gratitude and determination, Armando accepted Dona Luz's offer. He knew that the path ahead would be challenging, full of obstacles and uncertainties, but he was willing to face them head-on, guided by the light of compassion and the desire to do the difference in the lives of others. The San Angel Hospital was a special place. Located in the heart of the city, it was more than just a brick and concrete building. It was the epicenter of the community, where people from all corners came looking for healing and hope. Armando always admired the dedication of the medical team and the positive impact that the hospital had on people's lives. Now, he would have the opportunity to be a part of it in an even more meaningful way. Accepting the position meant more than simply assuming a new position, it was a commitment to a greater cause. Armando was determined to help make healthcare more accessible and of better quality for everyone, especially those who needed it most. He knew it wouldn't be easy, challenges and obstacles would be in the way. However, the passion and purpose he felt drove him forward, fueling his determination. Dona Luz, with her wisdom and kindness, was the heart of the hospital. Her eyes shone with the light of compassion, and her voice had the power to soothe the most afflicted hearts. She was the embodiment of hope, a calming presence that inspired confidence in everyone around her. Armando felt a deep admiration for her and knew he would learn a lot from her leadership. Dr. Lopez, founding partner of the hospital with Dona Luz, on the other hand, was a man of action. His sharp mind and commitment to excellence made him a relentless driving force at the hospital. He had a clear vision of what he wanted to achieve and spared no effort to make it a reality. Armando recognized him as a mentor and a guide, someone he could count on to guide him along the way. As the days went by, Armando dove headfirst into work. Endless meetings, heated discussions, and sleepless nights became part of his routine. Yet he never felt more alive. Each challenge was an opportunity for growth, each obstacle a chance to overcome. He was determined to make a difference, no matter the cost. Dona Luz wants to know how Armando is feeling about his new reinstatement at the hospital. Please tell me, Armando, how have you been feeling? Busy, but with a heart full of determination. This hospital is truly a special place, and I'm learning a lot every day. I'm glad to hear that, Armando. You've shown admirable dedication since you arrived. Your passion is contagious. Thank you very much, Dona Luz. I confess that there are moments of tiredness. But as Dr. Lopez always says, each challenge is an opportunity for growth. I have tried to embrace this perspective. Dr. Lopez is right. He is a man of great wisdom. Always remember that we are here to support you, Armando. We are a team, and together we can overcome any obstacle. Thank you very much, Dona Luz. Your words mean a lot to me. I am determined to live up to the trust you have placed in me. With Armando's reinstatement, the atmosphere at the hospital gradually changed. His inspiring story served as a powerful reminder of the greater purpose behind healthcare work, not just treating illness, but also nourishing the soul and spirit of those who sought help. Staff rediscovered a renewed sense of empathy and commitment to their patients, while management began to reconsider its policies and practices. Armando took the opportunity to initiate changes within the hospital itself. He proposed creating volunteer programs to help needy patients, implementing emotional support groups, and promoting a culture of patient-centered care. His vision of a more humane and accessible healthcare system was beginning to come to life, one step at a time. Meanwhile, the story of Armando and Dona Rosa echoed beyond the confines of the hospital, touching the hearts of many who heard about it. People from all walks of life were inspired by Armando's courage in facing injustice and by Dona Rosa's strength in the midst of adversity. Their stories have become symbols of hope and resilience in a world often filled with challenges and uncertainty. Support for Armando and Dona Rosa's cause grew exponentially, with people volunteering to help seniors in their communities, demanding changes in healthcare systems, and promoting empathy and compassion in all daily interactions. The movement that began as an individual struggle has transformed into a wave of solidarity and social transformation. The project for the new hospital began to slowly take shape. Armando and his team worked tirelessly to ensure every detail was carefully planned and executed. They strived to create a welcoming and inclusive environment where everyone felt welcome and respected. Accessibility was the watchword, and they were committed to ensuring that no patient was left behind. As time passed, the San Angel Hospital came to life. The walls echoed with the sound of hope, and the hallways overflowed with the promise of healing. Armando looked amazed at what they had accomplished together. It was more than a building, it was a symbol of progress and transformation, a beacon of light in the midst of darkness. The opening of the hospital was a monumental event. Local officials, community leaders, and members of the press gathered to celebrate the historic milestone. Armando looked around, his heart swelling with pride. He saw the smiling faces of patients, felt the pulsing energy of those who had been touched by the sight of the hospital. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to the power of determination and collaboration. However, the journey was just beginning. As the months passed, the hospital faced unexpected challenges and unforeseen adversities. Limited resources, financial pressures, and internal conflicts threatened to undermine the progress they have made. Armando felt the tension in the air, the feeling that they were on the verge of collapse. But he refused to give up. He clung to the hope and vision that had guided them from the beginning. He knew he needed to find a way to overcome the difficulties and strengthen the hospital's foundations. With renewed determination, he gathered his team and came up with a plan to face the challenges head-on. He thanked everyone for not abandoning the hospital and working day and night, looking for creative solutions and viable alternatives. They came together in times of crisis, finding strength in unity and solidarity. Armando suggested everyone focus on creative solutions in order to restructure their resources more efficiently by creating partnerships with other medical institutions. And, little by little, the dark clouds began to dissipate, giving way to rays of hope and renewal. Each employee committed to supporting Armando in any way possible. San Angel Hospital emerged stronger than ever, a living testament to the power of resilience and determination. Over the years, the hospital grew and expanded, becoming a beacon of excellence in healthcare. Armando saw his vision come true before his eyes, a testament to the power of perseverance and dedication. He looked back at the path they had traveled together and felt a deep sense of gratitude. Today, San Angel Hospital continues to serve the community with pride and dedication. Its doors are always open to those who need care and support, regardless of their background or financial situation. Armando smiles as he watches the patients' smiling faces, knowing they are in good hands. In the days that followed, Armando continued his tireless fight for Victoria's well-being. Victoria, his daughter, rested fragilely on the bed, surrounded by wires and monitors. In the days since the devastating diagnosis, Armando has immersed himself in a tireless fight for his daughter's well-being. He became a shadow in the hospital corridors, his steps mark a path of hope and despair. At every moment, the image of little Victoria fighting the disease entered his mind, making him look for solutions where others saw only obstacles. Dona Rosa's words of encouragement and hope blossomed in her heart. And then, when all seemed lost, a ray of light broke through the dark clouds that hung over them. A local charity organization, touched by Armando and Victoria's story, offered to cover the costs of the girl's treatment. It was like a miracle unfolding before his eyes, a blessing he had never dared to hope for. Doctors who previously gave bad news and gloomy prognoses now smiled as they witnessed Victoria's miraculous transformation. Her recovery was a living testament to human resilience and the power of a father's love. As the weeks unfolded, Armando and Victoria formed a deeper bond, transcending the barriers of pain and suffering. He dedicated every free moment to caring for his daughter, diving headlong into the whirlwind of emotions that surrounded them. Dona Rosa, the patient he defended so much, became more than a patient for Armando and Victoria. She was a beacon of hope in the midst of the storm, a comforting presence who brightened the darkest days with her kindness and unconditional love. With tears in his eyes and gratitude in his heart, Armando saw his daughter finally begin to recover. Each day was a gift, a new chance at life that they embraced with all the strength of their souls. Victoria bloomed like a delicate flower, her laugh echoing through the hospital corridors, a melody of hope in an often dark world. Dona Rosa, who followed everything closely, could hardly believe it. Armando, a neighbor whose heart was filled with compassion when he saw Dona Rosa's need for help, not only took care of her physical needs, but also offered what was most precious, time and emotional support. Together, with all this, he still took time to take care of his most precious asset, his daughter. Proof that a simple gesture can brighten lives and spread love. Remember, small acts of kindness can make all the difference in the world.